Welcome to the final project demonstration, Dockerized web application deployment with Bash automation. In this video, I will guide you through the process of setting up, containerizing, and deploying a web application using Bash scripts and Docker. This project showcases the power of automation and demonstrates how you can streamline your deployment process using Docker and Bash. Our web application consists of three key components, forming a three-tier architecture. Frontend, a ReactJS application providing user interface for the application. As you can see, here we use it for frontend, ReactJS. Backend part, a Node.js application with Express serving as the API layer, and database, a MongoDB instance storing the application's data. These components are fully containerized using Docker orchestrated with Docker Compose and deployed with Bash scripts for complete automation. Here is the architecture diagram of the application. The diagram illustrating the frontend, backend, and the database components. The frontend communicates with the backend via API request. The backend accesses the database to fetch and manipulate data. Let's start by setting up the environment using Bash scripts to ensure everything is configured correctly. The setup shell script will install Docker and Docker Compose. I have already installed Docker and Docker Compose. I don't need this part. I start by deploying script from here. The deploy script uses Docker Compose to build and start the containers and the downloading needed image. The key components defined in Docker Compose YAML are frontend, a ReactJS application exposed on port 30 and 00. A backend part, a Node.js application with Express exposed on port 30 and 01. As you can see here, running our containers and the images. Our front.
A list of to-dos. An option to add new tasks using a model form like we here. Get any title and description and due date. There, and it's saved. Screen capture of backend API. Here is a response from backend. Here running on port 30 and 01. Totals. It's our total lists. His response from the backend API providing the total list data in JSON format like this. ID type. Okay, Gopar, it's your turn. You can start.
Hello everyone, in our project we have implemented a deployment pipeline using GitLab, CI/CD and Docker. I'm going to walk you through the build stages of our .gitlab CI UML file. Stage build backend. The build backend job belongs to the build stage. Here's how it works. First, it check if .env file is present, then export environment variables. It uses Docker Compose to build our backend API image by specifying the API service in Docker Compose.yml. After the build, it stores the build backend directory as an artifact. Stage build frontend. Similarly, the build frontend job is also part of the build stage. Like the backend, it exports environment variable from .env if available. Then it uses Docker Compose to build the frontend web image by specifying the web service in Docker Compose.yml. The build frontend directory is saved as an artifact.
Now I will explain the first deploy pipeline. So the test backend job is responsible for our API tests. The job uses the Python Alpine image and belongs to the test stage, where we have Docker service and variables for Node environment and API port. In before script, we update our APK, add Docker Compose, and navigate to the backend directory. In the script section, we installing all necessary Node.js dependencies, spinning up our MongoDB container, and starting the API container. Finally, it executes the API test inside the container. It's simple tests in a backend test file directory, where we are checking for main API endpoints. Next, we have our deploy stage, where we push the Docker image to Docker Hub and deploy the application. It starts by exporting variables from .env file, if it exists, where we have our Docker Hub username, password, and repository names for frontend and backend. Next, it logs to the Docker Hub using credentials passed as CI/CD variables, rebuilds both backend and frontend images to ensure they are up to date. Next, we are tagging our images and pushing them to the respective repositories. Finally, it uses Docker Compose to bring up the application in detached mode. Before the video, I made a commit to show that our pipeline is working correctly, so we can check it in Docker Hub, where we have our server backend successfully deployed 9 minutes ago, and our server frontend also successfully deployed. Next, so it shows that our deployment pipeline efficiently builds tests and deploys the application to production, ensuring seamless integration and continuous delivery. Thank you. So I made a commit to check if our pipeline is working well. Here we can see that it has. We have build, test, and deploy stages as in our GitLab CI YAML file. It's building backend and frontend separately. The test passed successfully, and we deployed our application to Docker Hub. Here we can check it. Server backend successfully deployed, and server frontend also successfully pushed. Thanks for your attention.